I sucked at the college baseball recruiting process, and I want to help you avoid sucking too. My name is Matt. I'm a regional advisor with College Athlete Advantage. I help high school players find their best fit for playing college baseball. The biggest mistake that I made was that I only considered 3 schools. Like most high school players, I wanted to play D1 baseball. The problem was I wasn't good enough. I looked at 3 Division III schools and ended up choosing the school that recruited me the least. Why is that? Because one of my high school coaches, who I really liked, played at that school. Luckily, I had a good baseball experience at the school. I improved a lot, I played a lot, and helped turn around a program that had struggled for a long time. But I didn't have the best social experience. And had I considered more colleges or casted a wider net, maybe I would have found a better overall fit for playing college baseball. The recruiting process has only become more confusing in recent years. And here are some things that make it confusing. Social media, the transfer portal, NIL, or name, image, likeness, early commitments, COVID, changing rules, and more. And these are only systemic factors. There are more factors that make your individual process confusing, such as numerous opinions. The closer you get to college, the more opinions you will hear about what you should do. Your high school coach will have an opinion. Your club coach will have an opinion. Your uncle who played college baseball in 1985 will have an opinion. Who should you believe? It's confusing, isn't it? Another confusing aspect is misinformation. How many of these phrases have you heard? Number 1, if you're good enough, college coaches will find you. Number 2, your high school or club coach will do everything for you in the recruiting process. Number 3, you're good enough to get a huge baseball scholarship. Number 4, you need to play in a big tournament or big tournaments and showcases to gain interest. And number 5, you can navigate the recruiting process on your own. There is a lot of misinformation baked into these assumptions. It's confusing, isn't it? Another confusing aspect is camp invitations. If you've gone to any big events, college coaches likely have access to your email address. And what is their favorite thing to do with your email address? Send you invitations to camps. You could go to a different camp every weekend in the summer, fall, and winter. Which of these camps are worth your time and money? It's confusing, isn't it? Here's another one, the comparison trap. In the age of social media, comparing your journey to others is easy. Every day, players post their commitments to Twitter and other social media platforms. Why did XYZ University recruit Johnny instead of me? I'm better than he is. How did Jimmy commit to college as an 8th grader? How did Jerry commit to a D1 school? He's not that good. Comparisons like these will drive you insane. It's confusing, isn't it? So here are 7 steps to end the confusion for you. Step number 1 is determine what level is the best fit for you. Now, every player wants to play D1 baseball. Who wouldn't? D1 players get the most attention. They have the best chance to extend their careers beyond college. But the reality is, a very low percentage of high school players play D1 baseball. So change your mindset to finding your best fit rather than focusing on level. Determining what level is the best fit involves 2 factors, your metrics and your skills. Now, metrics or tools are measured at showcases, things such as your sprint speed or 60-yard dash time, your throwing velocity, your exit velocity, your pop time for catchers, and more. Skills, on the other hand, refer to your fundamentals, like your swing mechanics, your throwing mechanics, fielding ground balls, your footwork, defensively, and more. College coaches often look at metrics first. They have ranges of metrics they look for. A D1 coach, for example, might look for a pitcher who throws at least 87 miles per hour, or a center fielder who runs the 60-yard dash in under 6.7 seconds, or a catcher who throws under 2.0 seconds to second base. So they identify players within their desired ranges, and then they look at skills to further whittle down the list. So to determine the level that fits the best for you, have a trusted coach or scout evaluate your skill set and metrics, and make sure it's someone who will tell you the truth. Step number 2 is determine important factors. So I want you to imagine there are 2 players that have equal ability coming out of high school. Okay, both players want to play college baseball. Okay, player A will say wants to be a brain surgeon. So the quality of the pre-med program is his top priority in selecting a college. Player B wants to play professional baseball. So athletic development is his top priority. So even though these players have equal ability, different colleges will be the best fit for each player. So the next step in your process is to think about what factors are the most important to you. Okay, is it academics? Is it the coaching staff? Is it location? Is it cost? Is it winning? Okay, how do all those factor in? List as many factors as you can think of that are important to you, then rank order them. Then use that list to further narrow your list of colleges. Step number 3 is cast a wide net. Okay, the recruiting process is a job search. You need to send out a lot of resumes to find your best fit. Casting a wide net is the best strategy. So there are approximately 1,700 college baseball programs in the United States. Okay, that includes all levels, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, and junior college. How many of those 1,700 could you name off the top of your head? Okay, 100, 200, 300? Even if you could name 500 college baseball programs, that still leaves 1,200 that you don't know anything about. And I guarantee that some of those 1,200 would be a good fit for you. Okay, you won't know which ones unless you cast a wide net. I see too many players create a top 10 list when they're a freshman, sophomore, or junior in high school. 10 is not enough. Start with at least 20 schools from each division at which you have the ability to play. Okay? And more than 20 is better. The more, the merrier. Then determine which of those colleges show interest before eliminating colleges from your list. Okay? This specific approach will give you the confidence that the college you pick is truly the best fit for you. Now, if you limit your college search to just a handful of schools, you're likely looking past a lot of schools that could be a better fit. Step number 4, gather information. Gathering information on colleges and college baseball programs takes on many forms. Okay? Website research is one form. Communication with coaches is another. And that communication could be email, text, or phone communication. Campus visits is another. Communicating with the players currently in the program. Communicating with former players or alumni. You want to use all of these strategies throughout your recruiting process. A website research gives you a first impression of the school, but don't draw final conclusions until you talk to the coaches and visit campus at least. So when you're doing website research, what should you look for? Okay, number one, the academic programs. Does the school offer your desired major or academic program? Look at campus life, like the dorms, the cafeterias. Look at the athletic facilities, the coaches' bios, the roster construction, and things like that. Then if the college passes the website test, start communicating with the coaches. Ask questions related to your important factors. The campus visit then is the most important step. Yeah, you need to see and hear and feel the campus firsthand. Your college choice is too important to skip this step. Now, the campus visit is a two-way job interview. The coaches feel out your fit for their program, and you feel out your fit for their program and the college. So because of this, don't shy away from asking the coaches pointed and direct questions. Here are some examples. What is your coaching philosophy? Where do you see me fitting in? How will I receive feedback? Also, seek out current and former players. Okay, you could use social media for this to get their opinions about the program. Ask them questions related to your important factors. And be sure you keep notes on each college and the baseball program as you're going through the process. Okay, these notes will prove invaluable when you're making a final decision and trying to compare schools against each other. Step number 5 is communicate. Now, communication is a key part of the gathering information phase that I just talked about, but communication is so important that it deserves its own step. So you should initiate communication through email and or social media with the goal of setting up a phone conversation. If a coach is not willing to have a phone conversation with you, he's very likely not interested, or at least not interested yet. When you have that first phone conversation, ask how the coach likes to communicate. Is it via text or phone or email? And how often he likes to communicate. Then be sure to reach out and provide updates consistently. Now, when you're providing updates, what information should you provide? Things like updated video clips, updated metrics, updated stats, updated academic information like your GPA or ACT or SAT scores. How often should you provide updates? This largely depends on the coach, which is why it's important to ask how often the coach prefers communication. But I would say updates monthly is a safe interval if you're not really sure. Now, here's a tip for you. When sending a message, whether it's email, text, or social media to a coach, always ask a question. Okay, this puts the ball back in his court to respond. So here are some example questions. Will you take a look at my videos and let me know what you think? Do my metrics and stats match what you're looking for? Can we set up a phone call so I can learn more about your program? These are all good questions that the coach will have to respond back to. If you fail to communicate, you may fall off a coach's radar, especially if you aren't a top recruit. Also, be sure when you communicate with confidence. Sell yourself. Let coaches know the value you can provide. Step number 6 is narrow your options. Now, once you're satisfied with your options, narrow them down to your top 3 to 5 colleges. And this can happen in conjunction with steps 4 and 5, or the previous 2 steps. Use your top factors to compare your list of schools, and take your time with this. Now, why 3 to 5 colleges? Because 3 to 5 is a manageable number for continued research. Any more than that will overwhelm you. It's better to take a deep dive on a few schools rather than a surface level look at a lot of schools. And the seventh and final step is pick your best fit. Continue the narrowing process with your top 3 to 5 colleges. Here are some tips. Take an overnight visit and stay with the baseball players. Compare scholarship and financial aid offers from each school, and potentially use that as leverage to make sure you get the best offer. Ask the coaches if there's a deadline for accepting an offer. That's something they may communicate early in the process, but you can definitely ask that question as well. Don't settle just to get the process over with. It's better to wait and get it right than pick the wrong fit early. But when you're 100% convicted, call the coach and offer your verbal commitment. And when you make that call, be sure to ask about next steps, such as signing a letter of intent, filling out an application, housing form when you're on that call. Be sure that you do not post anything on social media until you call all the coaches at the other schools you were looking at. These can definitely be difficult conversations, but they're very necessary. Even if those coaches are upset, they will respect you for calling. Now, here's a tip. You can back out of a verbal commitment without penalty, but this is not good practice. Now, so my advice is do not offer a verbal commitment until that verbal commitment is as good as a written commitment. Now, of course, there are circumstances for which it makes sense to back out of a commitment, but these are few and far between. So I hope this helps. I painted with very broad strokes in this video. I left out plenty of details for the sake of keeping this short. But please comment or reply if you have questions, and feel free to reach out to me if you would like to discuss your specific situation and recruiting process.